Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal big footy rules still apply. Alright, this is the Flogcast for round 2. Fyfie joined by Ant.
G'day.
Dan.
Evening.
Teach.
Hello.
Penal.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Your hi there is awesome. You did it last week.
And with the first game at Adelaide Oval, we have reps from both South Australian teams. We have Marto joining us again.
Evening, gentlemen.
And for the first time, we have Mattrox.
How do you do?
Shitfight's already
Mattrox,
started.
this is no place for the faint-hearted, mate. You are here to be roasted for anything that you say or do.
Yes, and that is a perfect note to start with. Before we move on to any recaps, we'll start with Teach. You received a very interesting PM about your fame on the Flogcast as well as attending Geelong games. Would you like to fill us in?
Yeah, well, you fuckers, you've turned me into the Teach when I'm not the Teach, but I actually got some idiot off the Geelong board who was so excited about the fact he said, "Oh, the Teach is on the Vlogcast," and he sent me a PM going, "Oh, Teach, this is me from the cheer squad, and I didn't realise that you're on the Vlogcast." And I'm going, "Oh, for fuck's sake, what am I going to do here?"
But Teach, I don't get it, mate. You told me you were the Teach.
Don't backpedal now.
You know I'm not the Teach, and I just
Come
go
on.
along with this fucking show.
Don't be
It's
ashamed of who you are, Teach.
But I've seen
Anyway.
your photo on your Skype. You're the Teach.
You're not fooling anyone.
You fuckers are just going to get more idiots off the Geelong board, just like sending you PMs going, "Oh, it's you the Teach, it's you the Teach," and it's fucking not me. But just,
Shut up, Teach.
and just cut it out. Yeah, well, it was pretty funny that someone sent me a PM and thought I was actually the Teach, but he was from the cheer squad, and he sits next to this guy, and he hears his voice week in, week out, and he knows I don't sound like him.
That would suggest that you do, so obviously he knows. Your secret's out.
He is the Messiah.
Well, okay, I'm just trying to keep my identity secret.
We'll just keep it between us that you're the real Teach. We won't tell anyone.
Well, you're not doing me any favours.
Yeah, it would be really irresponsible if we made a recording of this and then put it up on the internet.
Yes.
I totally agree. So we'll edit this bit out.
Yeah,
Well, I hope so.
just between us.
Because-
Yes,
we won't
Bruce
tell
Wayne.
anyone that you're the real Teach.
Okay, fine. I feel happy with that.
But yeah, since we're talking about the Geelong cheer squad and all that, and Cats, we'll start with Geelong versus Adelaide down at the shithole.
Actually, a pretty good game. I didn't think that we were in any threat for the whole game. I thought that we would probably win it. I was very, very surprised that we ran away with the last 6 goals of the game. I was kind of
You were a bit
thinking,
of a pessimist, Teach. You were saying
you
last
weren't
week
saying
that
that last week.
yeah, you thought you were going to struggle against the Crows.
well, we did struggle up until 3/4 time, and they were actually in front at the early part of the 4th quarter.
Umpires took over. I saw a bit of that last quarter. Bloody Joel Selwood, he thinks he can run 40 metres without bouncing the ball towards a goal. It was just a big Geelong wankfest towards the end. It was a mistake.
I think the turning point of that match was in the last quarter when Scott subbed Hawkins off.
Yes.
I tell you what,
That
you're
wasn't a
massive.
good game.
And in Hawkins' first thought was sub. We're having Subway.
Marto, you need to shut the fuck up. I mean, you hate the Crows, and you're moaning about them getting a bad deal. I mean,
It
for
happened right in
fuck's
front of
sake.
him.
He just knows that when Port have to go down there and face you guys, they're going to get the same treatment from the umpires. So he wants it all.
Every bloody year. I'm sick of it. I reckon they should have demolished that stadium a decade ago. It's ridiculous.
Fuck off, idiot.
The reason why they call it shithole stadium, mate.
The entire state of South Australia needs to be cut off and just fucking sent off into the Indian Ocean to sink. And you know
Don't pretend the rest of Victoria loves you.
Once
You're
they
not
close the
built-
fucking Ford factory down, Geelong will practically be South Australia anyway.
Try and palm them off onto us. Just push them over to Tasmania. They can go along with Hawthorn.
Listen to you two. You two poofters from the same state.
Oh, poofters.
You're pumping up your own tyres against each other. You hate each other's fucking guts.
That's only a state rivalry. We're allowed to hate each other, but then hate you. The enemy is your friend.
It sounds like you're having difficulties there, Teach. What's going on, mate? You're getting a bit mad there.
Back to the actual game, though. I tipped Geelong to kick away, and looks like they did what I predicted, so good on them.
It was probably the best game of the round, I think, up until about 10 minutes to go when Geelong smashed them and Jimmy Bartell 20 and forward and all that.
Did he stink or something? No, none of the Crows players went near him.
I think Hodgepodge has been locked away in the mental institution this
The
weekend.
overrated
Because of
bastard.
There's some serious issues with defensive structures every now and then when there's a few over the back goals scored. It started to emerge a little bit last year and reared its ugly head in the last quarter, and a couple of other points during the game. Those goals shouldn't have happened, and if we can eliminate those, I think we'll win a whole lot more games. So that's something for the coaching staff to have a look at. Eliminate a few of those easy goals, and then the contest becomes a lot tighter, and we get a whole lot better footy.
Yeah, so in other words, Jimmy had it easy. But anyway, structure's a good note to move on from to the next game, and a team that was structurally fine according to their coach, North.
Let's move on. Do we have
Well,
do we have
I'm
to talk about this
interested. I'm
game?
interested to hear from the man who thought they were going to be premiers this year.
Yes,
Go ahead,
Teach.
Teach.
Yes, well, didn't I just have this fucking coming?
So, do you still stand by your prediction?
Well, I mean,
Don't jump off now.
no, I can't jump off now. No, it's only round one. But
And he'll
Jesus,
jump off a three-quarter time.
I do not respect Essendon in any way, shape or form. Like 10 years ago, 13 years ago, when they won the premiership in 2000, and they were up there, and my nephew's barracked for Essendon, and I used to think, well, you know, even though they're a pack of fucking ordinary arseholes, at least my nephews are having some fun with their team winning. But now I have no joy in watching Essendon. After this drug scandal, I want everyone to beat them, and I just think they're just a disgusting team.
But what does that have to do with North being shit and you still picking them for the flag?
Nothing.
But North were pretty bad. I think
They were terrible, Fyfie.
Oh shit!
it was players across the ground, apart from Lindsay Thomas, who actually played a decent game. Many of them were ordinary. Brad's going to have to give back his coaching degree, I think. Not much of an endorsement for Feduni there.
But did they play the theme song at the end of the game?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They got smashed in just about every statistical aspect of the game. It was a surprise that they only lost by 39 points.
So how many
I mean-
goals did Drew Petrie kick?
Naught.
Bloody hell, does that mean the Essendon are going to make 8?
I
You
believe
knew
it
that
does.
already, Ant. You were giving Dan a bit of chin music there because we all knew how shit Petrie was. North were completely shit, and
It's probably one of the softest, most insipid performances I've ever seen.
The roof was closed, but someone must have told the players it was raining outside on Friday night.
You can't take any positives out of that if you're
Nah.
a North fan, other
No way.
than it's only round one.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the start to the season is disappointing, but the form I'm not overly fussed about because I know they're capable of a lot better.
who have you got next week, Dan?
Dogs.
That's going to be a season-defining game. And I reckon it's going to be like in the 12th to 15th range for North. If they cannot make a stand and say, no, we're better than this, it's going to be downhill from here.
No disrespect to the Dogs, but if we can't beat them, then we don't deserve to be in the 8.
If the Dogs beat North next week comfortably with no change in attitude or work rate or anything, where does that leave Brad? Gone?
Yeah, probably.
Leaves him with an amusing gif of him going, what the hell's going on?
Well, I mean, he's had 5 years to coach the side, and
Bring back Dean Langley.
oh
Back
god,
the junkyard dog. He'll sort you out.
yeah, he'll just get on Skype and
Skype.
talk to players.
Like we are right now. If I can be a good flog over Skype, then Langley can be a great coach over Skype. It makes logical sense. Think about it.
It'd be much cheaper too.
No disrespect to the Dogs, but I reckon Drew Petrie might kick 5 this week. week.
But yeah, moving on to Brisbane versus Hawthorn. Pretty uneventful. Hawthorn just ran rings around them, really.
They'd cruised. They just
Brisbane
did
did put up
what
a bit
they.
of a fight this time.
They
Yeah,
did, but Hawthorn just found another gear and went on their merry way at the end.
Training drill stuff.
exactly.
Lots of skill errors from both sides.
Hawthorn just did what they needed to do, and they won, and that's it.
Most interesting part of that game I found was that Hawthorn unveiled the premiership flag down in Tasmania.
Well, that's our home ground. Why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I mean, they delivered. They must have been listening to the podcast saying, you know what, that's a good idea. We should unveil the flag at our home ground.
Remember to pack the flag.
You guys have got the whole wrong angle on this. Like, if you have a look at the flag, it's actually a pennant triangular shaped, and the map of Tasmania is generally triangular as well.
So what he's saying, Hawthorn are pussies.
There's
And
nothing to
Mattrox.
see here. Hawthorn are going to unveil the flag at the MCG again in a couple of weeks, and all will be right with the world.
Freaking stupid. You can't do that. That's
Hawthorn get to unveil the flag twice because they're the best, right?
So I guess if they want to unveil the flag every week they play, good on them.
Anything else on Brisbane Hawth?
Hawthorn are going to be the pace setters for the season for the entire competition. They pretty well showed that in the pre-season, backed it up on the track in the first round. A lot of teams need to be working really hard if they want to contend.
That's
Yeah,
too much
but
of a
you know
main
what?
board response.
It doesn't matter who sets the pace now, it's who hits their straps coming into September.
And that is as good a note as any to move on to the next game, because St Kilda versus Melbourne, well, just because you win in round one sometimes doesn't mean you're going to go on with. That would be the case for whoever won, but St Kilda got a win, and didn't Nick Revolt love it?
He celebrated like he'd won the grand final.
Well, how would you know that's how he'd celebrate after they won a grand final?
He did come out in the paper and say that it was one of his best wins ever, so he really enjoyed beating Melbourne, who...
Why would you have picked Melbourne when their entire forward line was missing?
Because St Kilda's entire midfield was missing. The funniest thing about that is that Jack Watts played a good game, and Melbourne got done.
Yes, the base love child had an actual.
Usually when he plays well, they win.
But he still softed it a couple of times.
I think Watts over Natanui might prove to be the right decision in the end.
Jack Watts was on fire. There was even a bit of discussion on the Bay this week that we should start going after Matt Pimpleface Cruiser as the target of the Bay now. He was a number one pick, and what the hell's he done?
It's
He
bad
just said
enough that
Cruiser
he's
doesn't have
booed
the right
by
sound
his
to it.
fans all game.
And he's a pizza face. This makes it even better. It's perfect. It all lines up.
Anything else from that game?
I did watch the whole game. The skills were atrocious. You know, Melbourne had their chances. If they'd kicked straight in the second, it could have been a different game. So it really came down to St Kilda had a working forward line and they converted their chances.
Revolt was the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Basically.
Rewell played a good game.
I think Clint Jones had like 50 touches or something, didn't he?
But there were 50 useless touches. Giving him the ball is a bit like giving Matthew Boyd the ball. I mean, they'll get the ball, but then they'll butcher it.
He did rack up ball. He burnt Melbourne like they were midgets.
In the end, it was a cripple fight.
I mean, the meltdown that occurred after the game would suggest that
They might not win many others.
yes.
We might get back to that little meltdown. Well, West Coast versus the Bulldogs.
That was disappointing, really. All I could say.
And both of us, we sort of agreed that the Bulldogs might have got close, but it didn't happen.
They went with a team that was a small defence, and really, it didn't work. We had
It looked good early. It did look good early.
It did look good early when they had some run, but I guess when it's 35 degrees or whatever it was over there,
They got smashed.
they did.
Lacroix got off the leash like something shocking.
What about the Selwoods getting away with high tackles? Scott Selwood got one off Cramery.
Yeah, that
which
was bullshit.
And Joel Selwood got one at Skinny Park. Ha ha! Get fucked! Yes!
The one that Selwood got, it was like a late call. Like the umpire was going to hold it off, and then he called it. It was like, I don't know if the booze got to him or.
Probably the booze.
Boo crowd. They've been waiting all summer to unleash the booze,
But really, I mean, West Coast had not much to boo about. They pretty much smashed the Dogs. I mean, a few of our young kids played well. I mean, Hunter kicked a few, Jackson McRae kicked a couple, but other than that, that was a pretty poor showing.
How'd you find Cramery's game?
Could have kicked 4. He kicked a couple of goals. He butchered a couple of goals. So, I mean, you look at the stats, I think he had about 15 possessions, 5 tackles, 2 goals, but really, I think he had an average game.
Yeah, I thought he was ordinary.
So, playing Sunday night in Western Australia, it's going to be a struggle to get up next week against North
You got
Melbourne.
another Sunday game, man.
Yeah, we're the Sunday night kings.
Would you rather rather to back up with a Friday night game after that.
I just rather not play Sunday night games. They're shit.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
Fair call.
I agree.
It's shit to go to.
So, Ant, I was going to say, did you see the highlights tribute to Robert Murphy?
What was that?
What
Who was that?
Sorry.
He was giggling like a little girl.
Yeah,
I reckon
he was
Marto.
sticking
Probably
the
Port Adelaide supporter.
Yeah, what was this highlights package?
because it was a Robert Murphy. It was his 250th. Yeah, so they showed a bit of a highlights package, and I've always thought that Robert Murphy, he's always looked like your ugly auntie. You know, the one that, you know, she's not married, she can't get a root.
He plays like one too.
Oh, no, he's a
Oh,
great
No,
player.
he's a good player.
He's a great player. But he's got a head like a busted auntie.
So where's this going?
It's not going anywhere, but I just thought I'd bring it up because I thought it was funny.
We'll move on because this was a historic round. Because by the end of it, for the first time in 20 years, Fremantle are on top of the ladder at the end of a round. And boy, are they trying not to celebrate that.
Who are they playing this week?
Gold Coast, I think, in Perth.
Oh,
Let's
shit.
talk
Well,
about-
they're going to be on top again after this week.
Yeah, and also the other thing about the ladder is that Paddle's be very happy about this, but Collingwood on the bottom. But yeah, Fremantle on top of the ladder. And in the discovery of that, we've realised that maybe they may have had a DVD out last year.
Yeah, so they put out a DVD of their finals wins against Geelong and Sydney, but curiously didn't include the grand final and, you know, the first ever grand final in the club's history. You'd think they'd want to include that, but I guess not, and I can't think why.
Seriously, you can't think why? Other than the fact they got their asses kicked.
Well, they didn't get their asses kicked, though. This wasn't a 119 or anything, but
They did embarrass themselves on the big stage against
They
a
embarrassed
superior
the
team.
competition with that shit. It was boring.
the only one who really embarrassed themselves was Hayden Ballantyne, because I think he's the first player to ever go into a grand final and tank.
I think he's the first player ever to show up Neon Leon.
Brutal.
I'm trying to work out who played a better game for Hawthorn in the finals, Varco in the prelim or Ballantyne in the grand final.
It's got to be Varco, doesn't it?
I'm not going to bite, you can get fucked.
Yeah, but also on those DVDs, we're thinking along those lines. There's been some interesting DVDs. There's been some Kilda's infamous streak DVD. There's the Geelong Decade of Dominance that was 11 years long, and in that time frame, they still only won 2 flags. It didn't even include the third one.
Morons.
I'm taking names about people who are laughing here, and you're going to fucking pay.
But yeah, we've been thinking about top 5 DVDs we want to see released, considering some of the ones that have already been released. Number 5, Dan.
The drugs were off. Essendon post-June highlights DVD.
Number 4, Marto.
90-minute thrillers. North DVDs that cut out at 3/4 time.
Oh,
Number 3, Mattrox.
Matthew Primus, The Bay Cover Years, a collection of port losses for Crows fans.
Number 2, Penal.
Shithouse at the Shithole, Geelong versus Fremantle 2013.
Get fucked.
And number 1, Ant.
St Kilda the Streak, a 2014 edition, round 1.
2, round 1. All right, so moving on from that. Look, we talk about it every bloody week, but we have to come back to Essendon again. And this time it's Tanya Hurd, though, opening her mouth. And, well, James's words came out.
Straight out of the horse's mouth.
Yes, indeed.
They just keep digging a hole. Just keep digging and digging and digging. They just they don't know when to stop.
He's got paid his $1 million. What more do they want? He's not even coaching. He's getting paid $1 million. Like, let it go.
So you think they should have followed the Crows' example with Trig?
Where does everyone think this Tanya Hurd thing has come from? Who initiated it? Because
Obviously.
it's bad for the AFL. It's bad for Essendon. How did it all happen?
She's obviously just a puppet of her egotistical, narcissistic husband.
I've heard it's the other way around, that he's actually the puppet and she pulls all the strings.
She wears the pants.
Absolutely.
Do we think he will come back and coach, or do we think he'll get sacked before them, either now or later when they can't keep their mouths shut?
I don't think he'll coach.
I reckon they're just going to brush over it and he's going to come back to coach again later. It's just the way that their club is. They're
Hero
compromised,
workers.
they're
No, I
cheaters.
think Essendon is sort of warming their fans up for the return of the Chosen One in 2015, the return of Matty Knights.
Well, if that's the case, then they've turned into James Hurd FC and they're no longer Essendon FC because surely the club is bigger than the individual.
Not at Essendon, just about everywhere else, though, it seems.
You're sounding like a bunch of foamers.
I reckon you're right, Dan. They're just going to protect him and he's going to be able to come back in exactly when he wants to. And it's ridiculous. But, oh well, that's what they're about, isn't it?
I reckon eventually, before next year, Sada will catch up with him and he'll be the one with the next show cause. I reckon he's in for at least a 5-year ban.
Well, we hope so.
5 year.
Years.
He deserves it.
That's a big contract Essendon going to have to write up for him not to coach.
But the other thing about this is that Dank came out this week after that and said that he can prove that blah, blah, blah. Lots of people are going to fall down, but they did nothing wrong. Is everyone just sick of hearing about Stephen Dank? The bloke, if he could have proved it wrong, would he have not done it already?
He's in so much trouble. I reckon he's one of those really smooth-talking characters that sucks you in, but he's lying about everything he says. He's clearly been doing the research and kept detailed records of everything they've got, and then just turned around and said, oh, no, I don't have any records. He's not that stupid that he wouldn't be keeping his records, because he'll be going to any professional sport and saying, well, look, I've got all this data from rugby league and Aussie rules that we can repair your injuries and train up your rookies to be strong and fast. He's not stupid. He'd have all those records somewhere.
Well, he's never going to produce them because they're all incriminating. If you can say, all right, well, I gave this player this stuff, that is completely incriminating. If he had that and if he thought that that was going to save him, he would have done it already. But
exactly.
If he's got them, he's not going to produce it.
If they force him to testify, he's just going to flee to Mexico.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to fucking smash that scum-sucking, cheating, peptide-injecting club on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Caro got rewarded for going after Essendon. What did she get?
Laid.
No, well, I'm sure Bosk would do it for her if he went that way.
Bosk would plough her, even though she's a woman.
He would turn. Okay, I guess we go.
What, so she got some type of journalist award?
Yeah, something like that. I think she got one for chasing after Essendon, for bringing down the Messiah.
So Cara got one for ambulance chasing.
Kind of, yeah.
What a surprise.
This week on the Bay. Now, thread of the week, we had a few contenders. Where do we want to go? Marto, did you have any suggestions?
Well, I thought the Crows recruiting flops is a pretty good thread. Yeah, I reckon you should nominate that one. Well,
I don't really pay attention to West Horsham threads, so Mattrox, what do you think of that thread?
To be honest, I only went to the Bay to potshot a couple of Port supporters and haven't read through all the threads this week, so that's one that I'll have to catch up on.
that's because you're a bandwagoner, mate. What are you doing on here if you're a part-timer? Come on. What is this?
Don't turn
How
the
easy is it to turn the
podcast-
shit fight on?
Yeah.
Bandwagoning, you guys couldn't get 14,000 people to a match, and now
Oh,
you're...
shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
yeah? You guys stop turning the flogcast into a shit fight. Fuck's sake.
Teach, this is why we got them on.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
no,
I know.
we
But
wanted them off.
I didn't know it was going to be like a sandpipe fit between...
A what? A sand fight?
The hell's a sand
fight.
Sorry, Tyler, what do you mean by a sand fight?
I meant to say sandpit fight between crippled kids.
I'm just trying to picture that. But how can they throw sand if they're crippled?
Hang on, let me Google it.
Well, kids...
But yeah, I didn't mind that thread, but I reckon the flog who started it's a bit of a tool, so I don't think we give it to that one. Do we have any other nominations?
You were jealous.
I quite liked Is Your Minnow Club an AFL Leech? That was an excellent thread.
That was a good one.
That was a good thread by...
Frankston Rover, yep.
I like the meltdown after a win from Plugger. I thought that was gold.
Oh, didn't he sook it up like a Suze?
Oh, yes, didn't he ever?
And then he had the whole conspiracy theory. It wasn't the umpires this time, it was the mods.
Yeah, because it went to page 2.
Yeah, it disappeared onto page 2, so Plugger had a sulk over on the Limbo Club that myself or Teach, we said St Kilda was shit. We didn't like the fact that they won, so we deleted the thread out of spite.
What about
Tension,
the...
Shemans, Roozies, Bathed in Flogs, and other assorted Saints haters. See, I thought he was taking the piss, and then he wasn't taking the piss. He was literally angry.
He went into Sue's territory there, I think.
What about the thread that did you get beaten by St Kilda this year? That's going to be the less bumped thread of the whole year.
Quite possibly. I like the Freo top of the ladder DVD release one personally, but I got to agree with Amp. Plugger's little meltdown after a win. It was almost as funny as when they lose. Probably funnier.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Flog of the week.
I think we're all in agreement on that one, aren't we?
Yep.
Yep.
See you next Thursday, Swans. 5-12.
Yep, he had one hell of a melt in the Hanbury thread about little Dan being on drugs, and then he started the Roughhead thread saying he was a plotter, and then Roughhead kicked 5 goals, and he hasn't been seen since.
Hanbury's been in the news today.
Yeah, his player manager is said to Sydney to keep him away from Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, he's been spending too much time with Buddy. He smashed his car.
No more car trips.
Culture. He's gone.
That's 6 strikes right there between the two of them, I think.
Minus a few.
Clearly, Ugak's video was prophetic, although rumour is he had those problems a while ago. But if you've got a player on your list who's apparently into that stuff, why do you bring Lance Franklin to your club?
It's like Vlad said, we'll give up your strikes if you give up your cola.
Strike a collar.
And moving on from that to the poll, should away teams get to play their theme song? Dan, you might find this one interesting. From last week, 33.3% said yes, 13% said no, and 53% said, or the rest basically said, Jack Watts says no because Melbourne always lose. And they did. So I think that one was pretty deserving winner.
Yep.
I wonder what the poll would go like on the North board.
Yeah, that would go down well, wouldn't it?
All right, let's move on because in a lot of ways, round 2 is the real round 1 with the return of the MCG, and now we've got the Adelaide Oval up.
Oh, yeah, first showdown at the Adelaide Oval.
Probably the most significant one since the first one, aside from that one that was a final. So this is, this one's pretty big.
Let's cut them loose. Marto first, and then Mattrox.
Yep, you'll all be tuning in, you flogs. You want to see Chad Wingard. You want to see Travis Boat. You want to see the depth of Port Adelaide midfield. Just a minute.
We want to see Butcher spud it up again.
One of the most lovable teams in the AFL. I've got the thread to prove it.
Who started the thread? Is it a Marto guy?
No, I'm serious. There was a thread. Who's the most...
Marto, you've dropped the ball. It's over to Mattrox.
Fuck's sake, give...
Marto's spilled it centre half back.
I'm just going to say, I've got a killer seat at the game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there.
That's it, mate. Fucking drop the ball. 50 metres. 50 metres. Mattrox, over to you, mate. Go.
Bloody shithole stadium.
This is going to be epic. This is going to define football for the rest of the season. In the Bay, the shit fights, you have never seen anything until after this game. The showdowns are always 50-50 and hotly contested games. This is going to be immense with the excitement already building on a Monday. By Saturday, people are going to be melting down before they even see the match. So this is going to be epic.
Bloody oath. Well said.
Shut up, Marto. Mattrox, that was a shit-house transition from centre-half back through the forward line. And you've turned over the ball to Marto, and Marto now has it centre-half back.
No, Teach, he might have turned the ball over to me, but we're in agreement over this one. You're all going to be watching it. It's going to be a great game. And
it's not even on free to air.
I won't be watching it.
Freaking buy Foxtel, you cheapskate.
I do. I'm just not going to watch it.
I'm going to be watching it. This is going to be a great game.
I will admit I'm going to be watching it.
Mattrox is right. And as I said before, showdowns do tend to be 50-50. A lot of people think that Port have got this in the bag, but the showdowns are 50-50. We'll have to see what happens. I'm confident that my team will win, but you can't bet on these things. You just never know what's going to happen.
Did you wait for a
So,
lotto
if they're going to be
ticket
50-50,
on it,
does that mean there's 2 teams playing?
Are you, Marto and Mattrox, are you both going to the game?
Yeah, I'll be there. I've got my membership.
Yeah, when did you get that?
I've tentatively got a corporate box, but it depends on a couple of things. So if it all works out well, I'll be there living the high life.
Front up, mate. You don't be a weak shit. Get there.
Well, he's got an excuse. It's a Port home game, so it's not going to be as easy for him to get tickets. So lots of people will be there, and my seat, I've a great view of everything. I'll be able to see the historic Adelaide Oval scoreboard.
You got such a great seat, yet you only signed up yesterday. Was there plenty of seats still left to...
Port didn't need the bay covers, did they? That would have been embarrassing.
I was a little bit lazy, to be honest. But I got a good seat, and I paid a little bit extra for it, but it was worth it. Good view. I'm happy.
And what jumpers will the Crows be wearing?
The Crows will be wearing their traditional hoops, but with some printed names, I think members' names or something on the front to commemorate the auspicious occasion of us thrashing Port Adelaide at the opening showdown.
So you're not wearing the South Australian state jumper, is that right? You're not wearing that?
Koshy had a big cry about it, and all these flogs who don't even live here had a cry about it. You have Strawny wearing the big V. What's wrong with Dangerfield wearing our state jumper?
Are you serious? Are you defending?
Strong.
Are you defending
You know he doesn't really
defending
play for
the
Collingwood,
Crows?
Matt.
Are you defending
He
the
still
Crows
wears the big
wanting
V, and
to
the big
wear
V
the
is
state
sacred.
jumper? Are you
Oh,
defending the
shit.
Crows wanting to wear the state jumper? Are you really?
He is right. If you're going to let Strawny wear the big V, I mean, there's something wrong. The state jumper is supposed to be sacrilege, even as a joke.
Okay, South Australians. Strawny's not really a Collingwood football player.
No, he's
It's just a TV character.
He's
It's
a
pretend.
caricature.
It's pretend, man.
He's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
caricature, but you'll still let him wear the state jumper.
Yeah,
It's
but
not really the state jump.
why aren't Port Adelaide wearing the state jumper, considering they were established 1870 and the Crows are just some soulless franchise corporation?
Because we won't pretend that we're the whole state. We're Port Adelaide, we're not South Australia. South Australia is something else. South Australia is the whole state. South Australia is all the clubs within the state.
South Australia is the good bit. Port Adelaide
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah.
Port Adelaide have produced a lot of players that have worn that state jumper, so
Yeah, you're the only state in Australia that's got a fucking nuclear wasteland in the middle of it.
it'll be stored somewhere, doesn't it? We'll take your money. You give us your nuclear waste, we'll put it up north. Just give us the money, we'll store it. We've got plenty of
It actually
space.
improves their drinking water, funny enough.
Tips on the showdown.
Okay,
Port Adelaide.
Port easy. Sorry, Mattrox, but Port are gun-side and coming, and don't you whack off about this, Marto, but they are seriously coming, and I'm sorry, but they're going to win the showdown.
I'm tipping Port in a game similar to last year's Monfrey's game, where basically it is pretty close and it goes back and forth and ends, maybe a goal difference. I reckon this one's closer than most people seem to think.
I'm going Adelaide.
I've only really got one comment. Most of the time, the underdog wins. So whoever's the favourite, watch out for whoever's not.
I think Port are just too good. They'll get it done.
I think Port will win, but it'll be a lot closer than everyone thinks. Showdown's always very, very tightly fought.
Except for that one that was the final.
Who cares about that? Fuck. Face history.
Any last words from our South Australians on the showdown?
It's a nervous excitement building. Come back to us Thursday and ask us Thursday what we think. By Thursday, half the state will be fapping.
Yeah, he's right. Should be a great match. I'm looking forward to it. And it'll be an historic occasion, and you all should watch it.
Let's move on to the Thursday night game, Richmond-Carlton, the traditional opener of recent times in round 2 because of the fixture. And, well, the loser of this game's in some real strife.
It's not quite the same not having the delusional Richmond versus Carlton round 1.
Yeah, everyone's taken a bit of a whack
It's lost
after
its
last
zing.
week. Both teams lost, so no
So-
one's up and about. Everyone's scared.
Yeah, it's just not the same. I mean, AFL fixturing has just got it wrong.
It adds to the fucking excitement because both teams, their sphincters are fucking tightening, and whoever loses, that's almost season over.
I got to be honest, I haven't noticed many Carlton or Richmond supporters on the bay this week, but just wait till one team wins
Oh,
because,
cruise missile.
So,
You do have a few bandwagoners in your teams.
yeah, and certainly some who don't even care about that. You got the cruise missile, you've got, I reckon, Groupie will probably show up if we win. Tiger Boys has quit the bay, so he won't.
what?
So listen, Fyfie, you sucked me in last week, but I'm going to go with your boys again. I reckon Richmond are going to roll them.
Yeah, I think Richmond should win.
I'm going with Richmond.
Yeah, I also think Richmond will win just because Carlton are incredibly average.
Anyone think that Carlton's going to win?
No.
No.
Hawthorn versus Essendon. Look, Teach touched on this before. I think we all kind of hope Hawthorn smash them.
We all hope and think that they'll smash
But
it.
I guess Essendon have a habit of being up early. So I mean, they're playing for their season right now while they've still got 22 players, aren't they?
The come down hasn't started yet, has it?
No. Chapman's hamstrings are still holding together. They haven't gone ping just as yet. So I think that'll be basically the start of Essendon's drop is when Chapman goes down.
And is Cyril Chicken Wing back this week?
He is, yeah.
That might add a little bit to Hawthorn for, a quarter or so. So are we all on Hawthorn for that?
Yeah, I think Hawthorn will
Yeah,
win.
go Hawthorn.
Going to win.
I want Hawthorn to win, but I think Essendon will.
Way to be optimistic, Teach.
I'm being realistic, but I want Hawthorn to win because I fucking hate Essendon, but I think that Essendon will probably win.
Historically, this has been our annual percentage booster as well as the beginning of the end for Essendon. Let's just fucking hope the second one comes true.
Yeah, hope so.
All right, moving on to the next game. Amazingly enough, the winner of this game will be on 2 wins, 0 losses. It's St Kilda versus GWS. And I think it's GWS, personally.
Yeah, I'm going to say sorry, Plugger. Your team showed a lot of heart playing basically with no midfield, but GWS are going to be too strong.
And I think GWS get more free kicks too, so at least St Kilda will get a moral victory out of this.
I think the Saints will do the job at home.
Yeah, I
Against
reckon.
the Lords.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with you, Penal. I think that St Kilda are going to win another game.
Teacher's just scared of Plugger. You didn't like the smackdown he gave you. You've backed off. It'll be interesting to see if you've still got those same balls when North Melbourne's game comes around, eh?
He didn't give me a smackdown.
Yeah, he did. He had a crack that me and you called them shit 3 weeks ago.
Well, they are shit, but I tipped them to beat Melbourne.
Well, Plugger didn't know that because he rage quit listening before then.
Oh, yeah, well, he goes off the tree as soon as... Yeah, look, I reckon St Kilda will win again. I'll tip GWS on their home turf, but, away, I don't know. I think that St Kilda will probably roll them.
I'm tipping the Saints. They get Lenny Hayes back this week, don't they?
But yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints.
I reckon GWS might just do it. They might just surprise them.
I'm going to tip St Kilda.
All right.
You won't... You're not fucking ripping into Marto like you
Well,
did.
Marto didn't say they were shit and didn't get a serve from Plugger. Moving on to Fremantle Gold Coast at Patterson Stadium.
Next.
Oh,
Yep.
as if...
Yeah.
1-0.
Yep, Fremantle all round. Fremantle stay on top.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a...
The battle for first place will be quite interesting because West Coast play Melbourne this week, and that could be a big percentage booster for them. So both WA sides should win easily again. We should see lots of interesting shit fights on the Bay. And by interesting, I mean completely fucking stupid.
Next one. This one's very similar to Richmond Carlton in Sydney Collingwood. Both teams lost and the loser's in trouble. The winner gets some breathing space. And with Sydney's culture problems at the moment, this one's probably bigger for them than Collingwood because they want to finish top 4.
Who would have imagined like 12 months ago we were talking up a Sydney Collingwood game and then we're talking up Sydney as having the worst culture out of the two sides?
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
I reckon Sydney will pull out of it. I reckon there's more wrong at Collingwood than anyone's willing to admit at the moment.
That's just on the field though because they've got a shit coach.
Yeah.
But that's half the battle. I agree with Mattrox. Collingwood, I think Nathan no flags. I think he's lost the pace. Yeah, Sydney for me.
Where's this being played?
ANZ Stadium.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm assuming it's at ANZ.
Yeah, so Collingwood have a pretty good record there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go Collingwood for mine. I think that it's going to take Sydney a while to get their shit back in order, so Collingwood going to get them this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a win to Collingwood and 5 possessions, no goals for the $1 million man.
I agree with that. And Penal, yeah, Collingwood to win.
Collingwood for me too.
I'm on Collingwood, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Maxwell not play and someone else mind a man instead of some grass. And Buddy, because of that, will not get many kicks.
They got to bring back Seedsman this week, though.
He's out for a while, but there's your gratuitous Seedsman reference short.
Yeah, Shots gets a bit upset if we don't mention Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, Peter Seederman.
He's a Lindsay Gilby type. Anyway, Brisbane versus Geelong, a rematch of the infamous 53-point choke.
We will win this. I don't think that Brisbane are in really good shape to be contesting, and I think that we've started off all right. So I reckon we'll win that.
No rock.
So have you jumped off your predictions from the start of the year when you said Geelong was
12th.
Yeah.
No, well, we haven't played anyone serious yet, so...
Settle down.
Brisbane were probably better than the scoreboard suggested in round 1, and Geelong were probably worse than the scoreboard suggested, so I reckon the Lions will get up.
I'm on the Cats. Brisbane, no Rockcliffe, and they'll struggle, but Merritt will clean out Fat Boy Hawkins.
Get fucked. He's fucking...
Cats.
I'm tipping the Cats.
I reckon if I'm forced to watch this, I'll fall asleep, but Geelong will win. But I feel sorry for anyone who has to watch this.
Oh, so fucking sad for you, asshole.
I think Lepich is still getting the hang of this coaching thing. I think Geelong fairly easily in the end without Rockcliffe in there.
Melbourne versus West Coast. It's kind of been touched on by Penal. We expect West Coast to win. Melbourne disappointing.
I reckon West Coast will win by the amount of people in the crowd.
So 20 points.
120.
It's been touched on by Penal, that's all that matters.
It's a pretty good note to move on from if no one's picking Melbourne. No one?
Yeah, I'm going to Quackers.
That was an interesting comment. It's been touched on by Penal.
Are you on like a 5-second delay, Tyler?
No, I just couldn't talk because everyone else was fucking having a chat.
Good work, Teach.
All right, and we'll move on to the very last game. And Teach, you can have your say because it's the Bulldogs versus North. And, you know, if North Melbourne do not win this one, the Doggies will want to bounce back because they were disappointing as well. If North don't win this, the premiership tilt is in trouble.
Well, I mean, I was.
Don't waver, Teach.
Oh, okay. I'm going to stick with North. But I was wrong about the Bulldogs too because I thought the Bulldogs were going to have at least a good crack at the West Coast. And early on, I thought, okay, well, the Bulldogs are sticking with them. But then Scott Selwood got a ducking free kick, and then from there on, it was just all downhill, and the Bulldogs got smacked. And
So your definition of fucked was correct in the end.
yeah, I guess it was, yeah. So I was not happy with that, but I'm going to stick fat with North and say that North are going to recover and continue to win. And if they don't, well, I'm going to look like
You won't
Dan.
be able to log on to Big Footy if North loses on Sunday.
I'm going to stick with North. I think they're going to bounce back and they'll beat the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident North can bounce back. I was going to ask Ant, is Griffin playing this week?
He probably will be playing this week, so
Shit.
instantly our midfield will look better since it's a Dogs' home game, so we can have the roof open.
No.
in that case, I'll go to the
no,
Dogs.
that's it. It's all
That's
gone.
not fair.
It's all over.
Fair.
It's all over.
1,000 people turn up.
Well,
That's
for really for
not
the Bulldogs,
fair.
with Griffin in, probably might find they're going to bring Liam Jones in, so we get a bit of height in the forward line. We just need to make sure that we're within a kick at three-quarter time, and we've got them.
Sadly, that is true.
They blow us away early, they've got the game, but if we're in it at three-quarter time, we're a chance.
I'm going to tip North, but I'm actually interested in what people think the crowd figure is going to be for this game. I'm going to tip 19,000.
It sounds like more than a Port home game.
Yeah, it's not exactly a game in Adelaide.
Two
mate.
Victorian teams, though.
No. North are a Tasmanian team.
Oh, fuck off, fuck.
It's just not the same when you say it for North, is it? They don't play 4 games there. They don't unveil the flag. They don't call themselves the Tassie Hawks on billboards.
They
But the
haven't- they haven't-
Tassaroos has a good sound to it, doesn't it?
I think there'll be 20k at the game.
I'm expecting more than 20k. Then again, it's a Bulldogs home game, so I don't know how many North supporters will actually turn up.
Based on what we put out on last Friday, I don't think too many will show.
Again, it's a shit time slot. Like, I fucking hate the 4:40 games. It's just horrible time to go to a game. You know, is it just before dinner or is it, you know, it's crap.
Anyway, I'm on North, but geez, I think we'll all be jumping off if they lose this week because we all got sucked in last week.
And it'd be good for Base 13 if the Bulldogs win. I mean, come on.
You
Yeah.
won't be able to get on. That's the only consistent thing about North. We break internet service like nobody.
Oh, I'll go the Bulldogs.
Go Doggies.
I think most of us hoping the Bulldogs will win, though. It'd be good for the Bay, except for Dan.
Thanks.
Well, I'm on fucking Dan's bandwagon, so you can get fucked.
You have no choice to be on the bandwagon. You are dumb enough to tip us to win the flag.
Yeah, that's everything. So yeah, this was the Flogcast for round 2. Fyfie joined by Marto,
Watch the Showdown, vlogs. You'll enjoy it.
Mattrox,
Yeah, Showdown will be it this week. It's the big news. Go Crows.
Dan,
Yes, watch the showdown. It's going to be great.
Thank you, Dan.
Penal,
Yeah, see you guys. Watch the Showdown. It'll be almost as good as watching.
Can I tip the Bulldogs now?
Yeah, Showdown. It'll be almost as good as watching Essendon get smashed on Friday night.
Ant,
Watch the slowdown.
and of course our resident famous supporter, the real Teach.
Good night, all.
You're worse. Why do you bother, Teach?
And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week after you've all watched the Showdown.
Yay.
Down, down.